again, and welcome to my North Pole home. It's so much fun to have the opportunity to visit with you at your house from my house in the North Pole. I'm Mrs. Santa Claus, just in case you didn't recognize me. And things are very, very busy here in the North Pole, but lots of fun, too. We like to spring surprises on each other the closer it gets to Christmas. And one of the elves, I don't know which one, left me a special surprise on my rocking chair today. This beautiful glittery chain. Isn't it pretty? I'm going to use it to put on the Christmas tree back there as soon as the show is done. Now, if you would like to learn how to make a beautiful chain like this, it's very, very easy. All you need to do is get some shiny paper, or just some construction paper would be just fine. And all you have to do is get somebody to help you with the scissors and cut it up into little strips like this. Oh, Mrs. Claus is having trouble speaking today. You cut it up in little strips like this. And the first thing you do is you make a circle with it, and you just close it with a piece of tape like that. And then, so you have a circle like this, you take the second piece of paper and you thread it right through the other one. And you put it in there, and then you put it around, and then you put another piece of tape on it. And then you take another one and you put it around, and you put another piece of tape on it. And before too long, you have a very long chain like this. Isn't it beautiful? It's so shiny and festive. And you can use it to decorate anywhere you want. And tomorrow, I'll tell you how to make my favorite kind of Christmas cookie. It's very, very easy. It's candy cane cookies. But right now, I think it's time to read some of your letters that have been sent here to the North Pole. We're getting more and more every day. Let's see what we have here. This is from Kayla. Dear Mrs. Claus, can you give Santa a big hug? Can you give the poor people a great Christmas? Love, Kayla. Oh, Kayla, my heart goes out to you. That's very, very nice to want to do something special for those who have less than you. And you know, Kayla, that's something that each and every family can do too. When you donate a special gift to Toys for Tots, that makes sure that a little child who doesn't have as many things as you have get a special Christmas present. But of course, Santa Claus brings presents to all the boys and girls, doesn't he? Thank you very much for thinking of other people, Kayla. Oh, let's see. What have we got here? Dear Mrs. Claus, could you give my toys to other children who need them? Oh, we have some very big-hearted children writing letters. This says, Love, William. Well, you know what, William? When you have toys that you have outgrown, a good thing to do is take them to a church and ask the people there at the church if they know any other children who might like to play with your toys. That's a very special way to recycle your own toys and make sure that other children who have less than you do have an opportunity to play as well. Thank you, William. And William is age 6, and he's from New Hampshire. Let's see what else we have in here. Oh, dear Mrs. Claus, can you give the poor a good Christmas? Love, Kyle. And can't you also give yourself a big hug from me? Oh, I'll do that right now, Kyle. Oh, Kyle, I'm feeling your hug. It's very, very nice. And let's see, I think we'll read one more letter, and then maybe we'll see if Freddie has any jokes for us today. Dear Mrs. Claus, I miss you so much. I love you so much. I hope you have fun. From Simon. Oh, Simon, thank you very much. I hope you have fun too, Simon. And Simon is 6 years old, and he comes from Manchester, New Hampshire. And now I think it's time to see if Freddie the little fir tree has any jokes for us today. Hello, Freddie. How are you doing today?
Well, Mrs. Claus, I'm doing really, really well today. I got up and went for a walk this morning, and now I'm feeling all refreshed and feeling good from breathing that good, crisp North Pole air.
Excellent, Freddie. What a great way to start the day. So I suppose you have some good jokes for the boys and girls today?
I sure do, Mrs. Claus. You're going to really laugh at these.
Okay, Freddie, let's hear them.
Okay, Mrs. Claus. What do they teach the children at North Pole Kindergarten?
I should be able to figure this out. But you know what, Freddie? I just can't think straight today. I can't talk straight, and I can't think straight. So why don't you tell us? What do they teach the boys and girls at the North Pole Kindergarten?
Well, Mrs. Claus, they teach them the alphabet. The alphabet, Mrs. Claus. Not the alphabet, the alphabet.
Oh, Freddie, that's a very silly joke. Very, very silly. Do you have another one, Freddie?
I sure do, Mrs. Claus. This one's kind of a long one.
Oh, that's okay, Freddie. I'm sure the boys and girls have time. So why don't you go ahead and tell us?
Okay, Mrs. Claus. Well, it was 12 days after Christmas, and that's what we call Epiphany. And the three wise men came to see Jesus. First, the first wise man came in, and he had a gift of gold, and he gave that gift to baby Jesus. And then, Mrs. Claus, the second wise man came in, and he had a gift of healing oils, and that was called myrrh, and he gave that gift to Jesus. And then the last wise man came in, but he was holding a chain, and at the end of the chain, Mrs. Claus, there was a great big green monster.
A great big green monster? Freddie, I don't think this is how the Epiphany story goes.
Well, it does in this joke, Mrs. Claus, because the other two wise men said to him, "Hey, we told you to bring frankincense."
Get it, Mrs. Claus? No, Freddie, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I'm totally lost.
Well, Mrs. Claus, he brought in Frankenstein, you see, not frankincense.
Oh, Freddie, that's the worst joke you've ever told. You better come back tomorrow with better jokes for the boys and girls, or I'm going to fire you from doing jokes on my show.
You wouldn't do that, Mrs. Claus, because you love me, and we're friends, and we go back way back, don't we, Mrs. Claus?
Oh, yes, Freddie, we sure do, and you're right, I do love you. But you better go work on those jokes now. Maybe you better go on your Facebook page and ask your friends if they have any good jokes for you.
You know, Mrs. Claus, that's a really good idea. I think I'll go do that.
Okay, Freddie. In the meantime, it's time now to go down to our friends at St. Matthew's Episcopal Church in Goffstown, New Hampshire, and get a song from the junior choir. Sorry. That music was just so relaxing. I fell asleep. I'm sorry. I was up very late last night baking Christmas cookies. But thank you very much, St. Matthew's Choir. You were wonderful, junior choir, from St. Matthew's Episcopal Church in New Hampshire. And now, it's time, I'm quite embarrassed. It's time to read from Santa's Book of Good Girls and Boys and see if your name is in here. Where did I leave off? Oh, yes, okay. There's Avery Grace, and Robert and Amber, Jonathan and Alyssa. There's Austin and Courtney, Alexander and Rebecca, Kyle and Danielle, and there's Benjamin and Morgan, Aaron and Melissa, Christian and Michelle, Samuel, Kelsey, Dylan and Chelsea, Stephen and Anna, and Michael. There's Jesus and Savannah, Scott and Mariah. There's Bradley and Alexandra, Sierra, Antonio and Alicia, Marcus and Blake, Miranda and Garrett, Jamie and Garth, Edward and Catherine. There's Luke and Brittany, Sean and Brianna, Peter and Grace, Seth and Monica, Mitchell and Sabrina. There's Adrian and Tronny and Madeline and Victor and Caroline and Miguel and Molly and Shane and Erica. And that's all we have time for today. But you know what? It's time now to find out what's going on with the reindeer out in the reindeer barn. They are getting very excited. Some of the newer reindeer are going on their very first Christmas rides this year. So let's see how our reindeer wrangler Clementine is doing. Clementine, oh, you know what? I think I need to text her because I think she's out in the field with them today, or she might be back in the barn. So I'll just send her a text and let her know that we're waiting to go to her. Oh, she's there right now waiting for us. Okay.
Yes, Mrs. Claus, yes, yes. Oh, hi there, hi, boys and girls. I'm here at the reindeer barn up here at Santa's Village in Jefferson, New Hampshire. And look at we got Donner over here, over there, and we got Cupid came over. And I want to tell you a little bit about these antlers here. Now, you may notice that they have a little bit of stuff that's around their antlers there, and that's called velvet. Now, velvet protects the antlers while the reindeers are growing their antlers. But then when they get to be old enough and their antlers are nice and strong, then it starts to come off. And see how pretty their antlers are underneath that velvet. Now, did you know, boys and girls, that some of these reindeer in training are going to be here at Santa's Village all during the Christmas season and even after Christmas? So even after Santa Claus comes and visits you, you can still come to Santa's Village the weekend after Christmas, and you can visit the reindeer here, at the ones that are still in training. So I'm sure the folks here at Santa's Village will love to see you at Santa's Village in Jefferson, New Hampshire. I'm going to come back tomorrow and give you another report on the training program at where am I? At Santa's Village. See you later, boys and girls. Hey, come back here. I want to give you a kiss.
Oh, thank you, Clementine. Clementine does such a good job. We are very lucky to have her working with us here at the North Pole, and we hope she'll stay with us for many, many years to come. We'll check in with her again tomorrow, which will be so close to Christmas, just a few days before Christmas. Aren't you getting excited, boys and girls? I know I am. You know, all around the world, there are lots of people who like to decorate their houses both inside and out at Christmas time. Have you ever gone with your family out in the car to go for a trip around the neighborhood or around the town to see all the Christmas lights? It's a fun thing to do if you've never done it. You should encourage your parents to take you out to see the Christmas lights. Many, many people like to bring joy to their neighbors and the people in their town just by putting on the lights at Christmas time. And Mrs. Claus is special friends with many of them. And did you know that in the last several years, a lot of decorators have learned how to play music that goes along with their lights so that you can drive up to their houses, turn the radio in your car on, and hear a Christmas song and watch the lights dance in time to the music. It's very, very wonderful. Mrs. Claus enjoys it oh so very much. So I've asked permission from some of these decorators to show you the videos of their houses so you can see what I mean. So let's watch them now. They're so much fun.
Let me tell you about this house. There's one in every town. It's the one at Christmas time where folks all gather round. Most times of the year you'd pass by and not look back. But in December it'll stop you in your tracks. 'Cause it's got 47,000 twinkling lights and Santa Claus up on the roof, Dasher and Dancer and all the other reindeer. Rudolph's up there too, with a band of merry snowmen dancing on the porch, and a couple of carolers singing by the lamppost over near the front door. Jesus and his family in a stable on the lawn, and a choir of heavenly angels singing Silent Night till dawn. It's where everybody meets. It's the house on Christmas Street. Every year, Thanksgiving Day, while we digest our turkey, the family puts up its display. You can see it from Albuquerque. Papa says their electric bill must reach up to the sky, but Mama says the joy it brings is more than money can buy. 'Cause it's got 47,000 twinkling lights and Santa Claus up on the roof, Dasher and Dancer and all the other reindeer, Rudolph's up there too, with a band of merry snowmen dancing on the porch, and a couple of carolers singing by the lamppost over near the front door. Jesus and his family in a stable on the lawn, and a choir of heavenly angels singing Silent Night till dawn. It's where everybody meets. It's the house on Christmas Street. Every tree is all aglow with a Merry Christmas banner hanging high. It's so pretty in the snow. It's got to put a sparkle in your eye. In your eye. 'Cause it's got 47,000 twinkling lights and Santa Claus up on the roof, Dasher and Dancer and all the other reindeer, Rudolph's up there too, with a band of merry snowmen dancing on the porch, and a couple of carolers singing by the lamppost over near the front door. Jesus and his family in a stable on the roar, and a choir of heavenly angels singing Silent Night till dawn. It's where everybody meets. It's the house on Christmas Street. Christmas Street.
We're here, Mrs. Claus. Hi, kids. It's me, Momo, and I'm here with the elf report. I'm sorry to report that today we had a problem in the doll department. The Barbie-making elves got into an argument with the Bratz-making elves over which one was the best doll. And things got pretty crazy there for a while, but we got everything under control. Today in the doll department, 900 Barbies and 900 Bratz dolls make that 899 Bratz dolls. Apparently one got her head ripped off during the little spat. The good news is, while all that was going on, the elves in the fairy doll department got busy and made 7,000 dolls.
Well, by the way, Batman dolls are way better than Superman.
No, Superman is way better.
Well, Batman has a
And that's it for the elf report. Back to you, Mrs. Claus.
Black is way better than red.
Yeah, that's
There's always something so crazy going on here at the North Pole. I really wish you could visit in person. We'd have so much fun together. You know what? If you listen for that special bell, maybe someday you'll get a chance to take a ride on that special train that comes to the North Pole, only for those who believe. Now, I bet you've been waiting to find out what's going to happen in our story that we've been reading, The Magic Toy Shop. And just in case you missed the first two shows, I'll fill you in on what's been going on. We met an old man named Cornelius, who's a toy maker. He's not quite as old as Santa Claus, but almost. He was working in his toy shop only a few days before Christmas, trying to finish the toys that had been ordered for the boys and girls by their parents. And he was working very, very hard. But he just was only up to the last set of toys that he was getting ready to make when a woman came in with her children to look at the toys. And they were a very poor family. They didn't have any money to buy any toys. And Cornelius's wife, Katerina, said to him, "Why don't you just give those toys to the children?" And he said, "I'm sorry, I can't. They've already been ordered by other families, and I just don't have time to make any more." So they had to leave and close the toy shop that night. But when they left, the toys in the toy shop came alive, and they said, how about we make some toys for those poor little boys and girls? We can help even if Cornelius doesn't have time. So they were all working together to make toys when we last visited them. So let's see what's happening now. When Cornelius and Katerina opened their shop the next day, they saw 3 toys they had never seen before. A train with a tag that said for Peter, a princess doll with a tag that said for Lisa, and a pink stuffed bunny whose tag said for Karen. Where had they come from? Something magical must have happened. That evening, Cornelius gave the 3 children their special magical Christmas gifts. Just look how happy they were. Oh, what a lovely story this is. Cornelius and Katerina did not go to their shop the next day because it was Christmas. They stayed home to eat their own Christmas dinner. But the day after Christmas, the old toy maker took down the sign over the door of the toy shop. I must change the name of my shop, he said. I will make a new sign. From now on, my shop will not be called the toy shop. It will be the Magic Toy Shop. The end. And I certainly hope you have enjoyed this book. It's called The Magic Toy Shop, and it's published by Candy Cane Books, if you ever want to get a copy of your own. And now comes the time when Mrs. Claus sings a Christmas song with you. It's one of my favorite Christmas songs, but it's a very long Christmas song. It's going to take a while to learn it, so make sure you parents DVR this show right now so you can play it over and over and over again until you go completely mad. But by the end, you'll know all the words to Frosty the Snowman. Here we go. Frosty the Snowman was a jolly, happy soul with a corncob pipe and a button nose and 2 eyes made out of coal. Frosty the Snowman was a fairy tale, they say. He was made of snow, but the children know how he came to life one day. There must have been some magic in that old silk hat they found, for when they placed it on his head, he began to dance around. Oh, Frosty the Snowman was alive as he could be, and the children say he could laugh and play just the same as you and me. Down to the oh no, I think I messed up. Frosty the Snowman knew the sun was hot that day, so we said, let's run and we'll have some fun now before I melt away. Down to the village with a broomstick in his hand, running here and there all around the square, saying, catch me if you can. He led them down the streets of town, right to the traffic cop, and he only paused a moment when he heard him holler, stop! Frosty the Snowman had to hurry on his way, but he waved goodbye, saying, don't you cry. I'll be back again someday. Thumpity thump thump, thumpity thump thump, look at Frosty go. Thumpity thump thump, thumpity thump thump, over the hills of Mrs. Claus just loves to hit those high notes. And on that note, I think I better go take something for my headache. And I'll leave you with the beautiful sounds of my friend Judy Pancoast. You have a wonderful night, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Goodbye. Goodbye. Mwah! Mrs. Claus loves you. Goodbye.
Mrs. Claus, this is a song I wrote just for you. I hear you.
Let's see. I've got the cookies in the oven. I've checked on the elves. Oh, yes, I have to send Santa's suit out for dry cleaning. Oh, well, hello there. How are you doing today? I'm so happy to see you. I'm Mrs. Santa Claus.
Who's that dressed in green and red? Snow White curls around her head, zipping round the North Pole on a power sled. It's Mrs. Santa Claus. She's the one who's Santa's bride. She's the one at Santa's side, helping him get ready for his Christmas ride. She's Mrs. Santa Claus, Mrs. Santa Claus. Without her, what would Santa do? Mrs. Santa Claus. Santa really loves her, don't you? Making cookies, baking pies, taking Santa a surprise, making sure the elves are always organized. She's Mrs. Santa Claus. Santa's work is never done. He needs someone to share the fun. There's never any doubt that she's the only one. She's Mrs. Santa Claus, Mrs. Santa Claus. Without her, what would Santa do? Mrs. Santa Claus. Santa really loves her, don't you? Don't you? When the toys have all been packed, Santa's gone with sleigh and sack. Who parties with the elves until her man comes back? It's Mrs. Santa Claus, Mrs. Santa Claus. Without her, what would Santa do? Mrs. Santa Claus. Santa really loves her, don't you? When the toys have all been packed, Santa's gone with sleigh and sack. Who parties with the elves until her man comes back? It's Mrs. Santa Claus. She's Mrs.